Mellow greetings, everybody. My name is James. I am from the internet, and today we are going to be talking about endings and beginnings. Now, over the last 2 years as the pandemic has raged on, an odd phenomenon has organically occurred, that being the beginning of a very large, unexpected labor movement, born out of tens of millions of people being told that they were essential workers during the peak of a pandemic and literally being forced to go to work every day and possibly die. And of course, the hype about how essential they were, well, it made its way into national TV commercials and, feel-good corporate donations to NGOs around the country. And then, months later, well, all those corporations and all those employers basically stopped giving a shit about even the pretense that they cared about their workers. The extra money stopped, and management went back to complaining that people were lazy and they weren't working hard enough and profits weren't high enough. And all of these extra precautions that they have to take because of COVID are just unnecessary, and it's only because these piss-poor workers constantly complain about conditions. And the next thing you know, all those people who were once told they were essential and then shat upon all came to the sudden realization that not only were their working conditions untenable, but that they were selling their labor for far less than it was worth. And all around the country, people started walking off their jobs. Large labor unions started going on strike. Literal multinational corporations worth billions of dollars were forced to the negotiating table by unions, by workers, by the people who do all the things that make the corporation's profits possible. And as we've seen, a whole bunch of these strikes have gone on the board and then off the board as workers have walked away with lots of benefits, higher salaries, and overall better working conditions and quality of life. However, there has been one big one sitting on the board for a little bit, and it looks like that one has also now just come to an end. So today, I would like to take a look at what happened with all those fine working class union members over at John Deere and the big fat contract they squeezed out of their corporate employers. It's going to be a good one, gang. You ready? Here we go. John Deere factory workers approve new contract ending historic strike. More than 10,000 workers walked off the job in mid-October for the first time since 1986 in a sign of how the pandemic sparked new labor militancy. Well, shit, you're going to open with a sentence like that? Please tell me more. The John Deere strike, which is the first at the company since 1986, is a prominent symbol of the impact the pandemic has had on the economy. Nearly 2 years of lockdowns and economic instability have sparked a wave of labor activism, causing many workers to push for better conditions. Quote, UAW John Deere members did not just unite themselves, they seemed to unite the nation in a struggle for fairness in the workplace. We could not be more proud of these UAW members and their families. These worker rebellions and strikes are hitting a variety of industries, including low-wage fast food jobs, skilled manufacturing, healthcare, and food processing. Now, we've been covering a whole bunch of these different things that have been going on for the last few months, not the least of which is that fast food and retail workers across the nation have seen a rough average bump up to their hourly wage of approximately 17% over 1 year ago, which greatly outpaces the 6% rate of inflation that the capitalists are hitting everybody with, to make up for all their potential possible losses due to them having shortfalls in their production chain because they decided to lay off and furlough workers and slow down the purchasing of resources during the economic downturn because, God forbid, we actually pay people and then pay to have resources stocked away so that when we start production back up again, we don't have enormous gaps in the schedule. But, pish-posh, that stuff doesn't matter, right? John Deere workers on strike last week near the company headquarters in Moline, Illinois, said they wanted recognition for the sacrifices they made during the pandemic, when many worked long shifts in masks to keep churning out farm and construction equipment that had been declared essential to the economy. The picketers want significant concessions since their strike began in mid-October. And real quick, let me show you what the details of the new contract look like between the UAW workers and John Deere. For agreeing to the new deal, every single employee will immediately receive an $8,500 signing bonus, which should make up for most of the salary that they lost striking for the last month. They will also see a 20% increase in wages during the 6 years of the contract, and an immediate 10% increase in wages this year. In addition, they also got cost of living adjustments for wages throughout the course of the contract, an expanded retirement package where John Deere is going to give every retiring employee a lump sum payment on the way out the door, and most importantly, there will be no changes to their health care. The initial contract proposal that John Deere had put forth would limit the amount that they would pay in to insurance, especially for new hires that they were leaving outside of the current labor deal. And instead of leaving those people on the outside looking in, rank-and-file John Deere members said no, struck down the contract, and said what one of us get, all of us get. And 5 weeks later, it looks like they all got themselves something really good. Now, as I previously stated, there were a whole bunch of strikes and walkouts throughout the course of this year, culminating in Striketober, the poorly named social media hashtag given to all the strikes that were going on that had a convenient shelf life that ended October 31st, which is why you haven't heard a whole hell of a lot about these continuing strikes since then, because it's almost like corporations and the media teamed up to get people on social media to help them push forth the idea that this gigantic labor movement had a physical outdate. Well played, shitbird corporations, and shame on you on social media land who help perpetuate that kind of ludicrous idea. More on that in just a second. So right now, the last large strike left on the board is the Kellogg strike, in which about 1,400 workers have been on the picket line for 6 weeks now. The Nabisco-Mondelez strike already got settled a while back, and it looks like the 60,000 member IATSE strike that was going to happen in TV and film is going to be staved off by a rather generous new contract. And so it would seem that what started at the beginning of the pandemic as a completely unexpected and unorganized national labor movement has gone through its story arc and is now coming to an end, with labor unions signing their deals, most everybody going back to work. The Biden administration, courtesy of their really good relationship with all the cable news networks, have been pumping out all of these great stories about how unemployment's plummeting down through the floor and that the economy is pinking back up and that the United States of America is back to work. So yeah, it's the end of this story arc, but it's been a pretty good one, and a lot of people are actually a lot better off now than they were. But if you remember, when I started this video, I explained to you that every ending leads to the beginning of something else. And even though this part of the arc is over, well, it's sort of left an indelible mark on everybody else out there around the country, working class people who might not be represented by a labor union, who might live in a right-to-work state, who might just be a bunch of people all working at the same random job somewhere who all look around and decided that they've had enough. And so, I'd like to show you what is starting and taking the place of all these large labor strikes. So this letter here comes from a person you have never heard of before, at a random Domino's franchise location in Highlands Ranch, Colorado, probably a place you've never heard of before. And yet, this right here, well, this is the beginning that comes out of that John Deere ending. Patrick and Mindy. As you entered the store today, I'm sure y'all were a bit confused to find it empty, or at the least, severely lacking in staff, and no doubt this was perplexing. Well, this is the reason. Your actions of late have led to this. Two prime examples are as follows. Mindy texting a 17-year-old that works 60 hours a week to start moving a little quicker because we have the worst sales in the company right now. This took place on Sunday morning during football season, while Robbie and John were the only staff on hand. These are the actions of a slave driver, not a leader of people. Wow. I've been in the workforce for decades, and I have never written or said anything even close to this as an employer. We're starting to brush up against my workers quitting their job by text kink, so please tell me more. The other example is Patrick saying he, quote, doesn't want to be embarrassed to several minimum wage members. These actions, as well as the scare tactics implemented yesterday, show your inability to properly staff the store and your general negative demeanor when at the Highlands Ranch location has made work unbearable. This is why many employees are quitting, just like Robbie did back on November 14th. Morale is at an all-time low, despite the best efforts of our amazing GM, Nick, who is not aware of this course of action I am spearheading. Oh, is this a full-on employee-led mutiny? Oh, this just gets better and better. Some things must change or we will stage more walkouts in the near future. And I'm sure after the solidarity shown here at the Highlands Ranch location today, getting your other stores involved will not be difficult, especially since I know from talking to their team members that those locations are suffering the same ordeal. The following page is a list of our needs and wants. Number 1, we ask that Mindy resign effective immediately, as she's shown she lacks the ability to properly lead a team of human beings in the 21st century. Oh shit. Number 2, a starting wage of $15 an hour for all hourly kitchen staff, an equivalent pay bump to any kitchen staff currently employed. This includes shift leads and CSRs. Oh, look at this. The employees have looked at what John Deere and the others have done and are demanding not only better conditions for themselves, but for everybody else in the workplace. Solidarity plus direct action gets the goods, and it looks like our new friends at this Domino store have figured it out. Number 3, health benefits for all workers that work 40 hours a week. 4, paid sick time for all workers that work 40 hours a week. 5, paid vacation time for all workers that put in 40 hours a week. 6, modified store hours until the store is properly staffed. Number 7, if the Domino's phone ordering app cannot be modified to show accurate delivery times, it should be disabled until the store is appropriately staffed. And number 8, we also ask that you hire an overnight cleaning crew so that we can keep the store sanitary and up to health codes. And that, everybody at home watching, is a very concise list of demands. Oh, but wait, there's more. In finality, I'd like to point out that the physical and mental well-being of your employees should be a priority over the bottom line and your egos. Oh man, I really like this guy. I gain nothing from leading this uprising, but I hope that others will. And again, I reiterate, it is your degradation, callous attitude, and complete lack of empathy towards the staff that has caused this protest. We eagerly await your response. This is not a labor shortage. Welcome to the wage war. So what does this mean for you, the average viewer at home, the fellow member of the working class? Well, number 1, it means that we should all give a shout out to UAW and all the members, nearly 10,000 of them, who stood outside for a month or more on a picket line, demanded better, and had their demands met. And it means we should continue to support all the people doing the same thing at those Fort Kellogg's plants. But more importantly, what this means is that even though the convenient corporate hashtag of Striketober is now over, well, the end of that has officially spawned the beginning of the wage war. courtesy of our friend JB in Highland Ranch, Colorado, who just got a bunch of random people together at a Domino's and decided they are done taking other people's shit. So please take this lesson to heart. It doesn't matter if you're in a union. It doesn't matter if you live in a right-to-work for less state. The only things that count are that you organize, you agitate, and you show solidarity to one another. And if you do that and you make demands, you will have a better quality of life. Because after all, the capitalists sure as shit know by now that capital without labor, without workers, produces absolutely fucking nothing. The true power in the labor-capital relationship belongs to the workers. So everybody, go out there and flex your power. You deserve better. Until next time, my name is James. I am from the internet, and I am out. Peace.